Yeah, so the idea is to put the tried and true oil on here, hopefully get almost a levelness with the clear coat, and then do the wet sanding with the mineral spirits, and then hopefully it won't even be an issue. It'll kind of, those little crevices or those ridges will take care of themselves with the buildup of the true oil or the tried and true oil. But if not, at that point I can hopefully sand the edges, and that true oil will provide sort of a barrier against the wood to protect it from protecting against taking the stain off and making odd discolorations along these edges. So that's my hope, that's my plan as of right now. So here we go, this is my first attempt at using this stuff. Just going to put some on this old t-shirt here and go along with the grain, and you'll see it as it happens. I know you're not supposed to use a whole lot of this stuff. What I have is probably too much even for this area, but we'll see how it goes. Doesn't look like it's doing really anything. I can't really see any kind of discoloration or color change in the wood itself. We'll probably get some better light going on to Alright, I'm going to continue on with this, and I'll see how it goes. I'll report back. Got quite a bit more light on this, but it's kind of hard to capture on camera. What I did find is it's kind of hard to tell where I've put the oil. I thought from some videos I'd seen online, I get the Tried and True company, you know, has a how-to, and when they did it, it was very clear, it seemed, where they were actually putting the oil. But for me, I didn't know where I was putting it, and it seemed kind of splotchy. I feel like it's on there pretty good, and I had to use more than I thought, and I've got to save some of this for the neck that I'm getting. I'm going to put it on the spot of the neck where like your hands would be, or you know, where you grab the neck, and I'm going to make that sort of grayed out too. And so I need that, I need this oil for that as a finish. Anyway, so I need to save some. What I think it's doing, and that's a good thing for me, I think, I like it, is it's bringing out more of the wood grain. If you can see where I put the oil versus like over here and over here. I know the lighting's kind of difficult to capture. I feel like it's bringing out more of the wood grain, which is a good thing. So I'll continue on. I don't really feel like it's going to build up enough to make it even with the clear coat, but we'll see how this first coat goes, and then maybe a second coat in another day, and then we'll go from there. Okay folks, I'm about to wet sand this guitar, and as always you get to see me make the first pass, whether it be something that I screw up or not. Maybe it turns out great, but yeah, I just wanted to be open and honest and forbearing, and let you in on how things go as sort of a lessons learned. I wanted to make a note that I put on this Tried and True oil from the company Tried and True Oil. It really made the wood a lot darker, especially like this bout right here, this lower bout armrest. You know, I can't really compare it, obviously, but I mean, I could put a picture up, but just a matter of lighting, it's gonna be hard to compare. I'm a little disappointed in that. It may come off, or I may be able to make it a little lighter with some mineral spirits from what I've read. And it doesn't look that dark on the camera right now, but it was a lot grayer, more like pale gray than it is now. There's a lesson learned for you. I don't know what I could have done differently besides just put a thinner coat on, but as I mentioned earlier, it was really hard to tell if I was even getting any on at all when I was doing it really thin. So I just kind of had to like get a fair amount on there and just put it on, smooth it out. And some spots are a little splotchy, you know, where like I put the larger amount on and then started spreading it out. I guess I should have like saturated the cloth more, got it even, and then started going, but it didn't go on as well as I would hoped. Anyway, now I'm going to try to kind of clean off the surface a little bit with some mineral spirits, and I'm going to wet sand with mineral spirits that I have here. As you can see, talked about that earlier. I just got a piece of 800 grit wet dry paper soaking in the mineral spirits. So first going to clean it off, and then we'll have a go at wet sanding. Okay, here we go. Maybe we should start on the back. So if I mess anything up, it'll be on the back. I realized that I cut my paper too short here. It's not a good thing. Okay, I'm learning that I need to clean this off pretty frequently. Got a rag here I'm going to use to just kind of clean this sandpaper off as I go. And because of these ridges, I'm actually getting some kind of big chunks of paint off where just the edges are, and it was kind of raised, so I'm trying to keep those from scratching up the rest of the surface. So I'm just going to keep going at this, and then I will let you know how it's going. So hopefully you can see it's definitely being leveled out. There are some high spots that have been knocked down, and they're a dull finish. So I'm not sure where to go next with this. I don't really want to make it too buffed and polished, so I may just polish after this 800 grit and see how that works out. Okay, and on to the front. Here's the front, pretty shiny, and then here's the back again. It's been dulled down a lot, and I'm probably going to take maybe that battery I've got, the 9-volt, kind of get some of these spaces where it's hard to get. There's a lot of curvature. That's the thing about the Strat, there's a lot of curves, and you have to be careful on the edges, I hear, because that's the place where you can really go through the clear coat pretty easily. So onto the front, same old story. Okay, I've got my trusty 9-volt battery here that you can see, and I'm going to use for some of these pesky spots and a lot of the spots where the clear coat meets the bare wood. See if I can get some of those edges down. So what I found out is using this little 9-volt battery is pretty helpful on the transition parts, and where I was afraid that when I went over the wood it would kind of take some of the stain off, it hasn't done that at all, and it's really just knocked down those edges to where I don't really feel like I probably need to go over and sand them too much more. I probably will with some fine sandpaper, but it's really taken care of a lot of that issue. So that's good to know about the smaller size sanding block. Okay, what I'm going to do for the size is something I saw a guy named Will Kelly do on YouTube. So by all means go out and check his stuff out on YouTube, and he's got a lot of good information. But yeah, this is just a pool noodle that I cut off the end of, and so it makes it a really good round but not too small of a diameter surface. Take care of some of the sides and kind of the odd spots, the cutouts where the neck is. So I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Okay, so now we're at the buffing stage, and I'm going to use this coarse, wow, you can't see that at all. Alright, there we go. I'm going to use this coarse polishing compound from Stuart McDonald, and I realized that I'm supposed to use this because I final sanded with 800 grit. So that's the instructions. Now I will say that there's a set of instructions here, like there's a paper in here, and that came with the sanding paper with the kit, and it actually says, start with the coarse for 800 grit and then work your way up or down to like the finer. But this book, which is really elaborate, I looked in the whole thing and it really doesn't say that. It just says buff with it talks about coarse and medium and fine, but it doesn't talk about the grit where the sanding paper, the correlation. So I found that interesting. Maybe you're supposed to read between the lines. This book is good, but it's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of spots where I think information should be, but it's another section. It doesn't follow the progression. And I do understand that a lot of this stuff is talking about sunburst finishes and things that I'm not doing myself, and using different pigments and things. But as far as the finishing progression, I kind of wish there was a little bit better order to it, or just a little bit clearer, dumbed down for people like me instructions. And then I will say also to give them the benefit of the doubt that there are instructions on the back of these bottles that it's basically the same instruction for each bottle, but it says if you finish with 800 grit, you start with the coarse and then work your way down to medium and fine. And then the swirl remover, it sounds like it's really pointless if you're going to do it by hand. If you're going to use a buffing wheel, then the swirl mover will work. You know, again, I'm not trying to get a glass finish because this is a relic job. So I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Okay, so let me say too, with the differing instructions from Stuart McDonald. One of the sets of instructions said to just apply the compound directly to the instrument, and the other one said apply it to the rag and not to apply it to the instrument. So, you know, either it doesn't matter or it does, and one of them's wrong. But I'm just going to apply this kind of to the instrument, not put a whole lot on here, and just kind of work it in. Wow, it's brown. Interesting. Yeah, let's see what happens. Alright, cool. So it's kind of filling up those valleys, I guess, taking down some of those high spots maybe. And it's looking better. So it looks promising that as I work my way through these, that it's gonna produce a better finish than what it looks like now, because again, it looks pretty horrible, pretty crappy. So this is the idea, to buff it out. Okay, here's where I'm at. I've done the coarse polishing compound, and then I guess I'm supposed to let it kind of cool and then go back and rub off the excess. What I think I have not done correctly is when I did my final wet sanding, I think I was supposed to not see any more shiny spots, now that I think about it, and there definitely were shiny spots. So I don't know, I may have to just wipe off, get some, you know, mineral spirits and wipe off all this polishing compound and go back and try to wet sand down to where there's no more shiny spots. But I'm going to read up about that, and again, this is just a learning experience. I'm just trying to document it. So I'm definitely not an expert, but I'm you know, trying to help anyone else who might do something like this, just kind of learn as you go kind of thing. And then, you know, mistakes I make, maybe you won't have to make them. That's the idea behind all this. So keep watching, and I'll update you, see what happens. Yeah, so after a little bit of research, and it didn't take much, I realized that I really should have wet sanded until I don't see any shiny spots. So the reason it looks so bad is because I didn't wet sand enough. So I'm going to go back and do that now. It's fair enough, at least, you know, I didn't do anything irreversible. So that's good, but, you know, I kind of wiped off all the polishing compound that I, you know, jumped the gun on. And so now I'm going to go back and wet sand. It's a lot quieter now, my air conditioner's gone off. So yeah, I'm going to wet sand and make sure I get down to no shiny spots. And I'm going to try to just do that with the little 9-volt battery, so I don't want to go too far. But yeah, and you know, that I wish, again, that's where the Stuart McDonald stuff, you know, as detailed as it is, nowhere did it say anything like that, you know. And so I got excited, and I did the thing where I did the, you know, I followed the instructions. I did the 800 grit wet sanding, and I thought I was done. But, you know, it's blaringly obvious now that I think about it that I really should have gone through, you know, past the shiny parts. So we're going to step back, and we're going to do it the right way now. Alright, I've been working at this, and I've been working primarily on this side. So hopefully you can see that there's a lot less shiny spots over here now. Still got a ways to go. But then over here, there's a lot more shiny spots. So I'm just going to work my way around. It's taking a while. Pretty hard elbow grease. And again, I'm not using the big block just because I don't have a lot of control with that. And there's a lot of crevices and, you know, curves and stuff. So at the time being, I'm not using that. But if it continues to take as long as it is, I may resort to that. Alright, so what we got here now, I'm going to dub a new term. I'm going to call it the Super Relic, because it's bordering just hideous. No, I'm not at my wit's end or anything with it. So what I did, I'm running out of wet dry 800 paper, so I decided to use dry 600, but I still use mineral spirits. And I think, I don't know, I tried to look up if I could use this wet. And I think the only reason why you really shouldn't with water is because it might just disintegrate and start tearing apart. With mineral spirits, it really dries quickly, so I think I'm alright. I do have some swirl marks, but all the high spots are pretty much gone. So now I'm going to go over it with wet 800 grit paper, and you can see I've got some of that compound and just some of the finish. in these edges, so it's sort of cool. I don't know. I think I'll be able to clean it out pretty well with mineral spirits, but it kind of gives it some character. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm gonna go back with the 800 grit wet and just kind of get rid of some of the swirl marks, and then I'm gonna start using the polishing compound. So hopefully I'm on the right track now. Well, this is this whole thing, this polishing, wet sanding is taking me way longer than I expected. But yeah, now I'm going to go over and do the polishing compound, starting with the coarse, and work my way down. Where I think I went wrong in all this, or where I could have done a better job, is done more of a level sanding as I put the clear coats on. But I was really afraid to go through the coat that I put on before and then nullify that, and then just having to keep putting on more and more clear coats. So this is all new, and you know, you really learn from your mistakes. So it's really the only way to do it. And I didn't have anybody watching over me, helping me. So, but that's, hopefully I'm imparting some wisdom into you if you're going to do a project like this. So we'll put the polishing compounds on, and we'll go from there. All right. Well, I'm pretty disappointed. I don't know. I've used the coarse compound, the fine, or the medium and the fine, and I've still got some pretty bad scratches, and it's not giving any kind of a shine. I mean, it's, you know, barely a shine. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Got a lot of scratches. Maybe it's from the 600 paper that I used, and I did go back over with 800, but I don't know if that took those scratches out. The other thing is I don't know when I get down to the color, what the indication is. You know, I don't know how much I have left, and I can't really go back and clear coat it again because I've got all these bare wood parts, and you know, I've taken the tape off. So yeah, I don't know what to do. I think I just need to quit for now before I lose it and start over again at some point. Not start over, but try to salvage what I got. So